story that she's going to share with us. Thank you, Barbie, my new friend. How's everybody doing? Well, I'm kind of long-winded, and I tell you what, they told me 10 minutes, and Barbie's going to kind of do that if I go over. I cannot start without thanking both Stephanie Van Tannehill and Go-Go's Breast Cancer Foundation for having this invitation to and reaching out to me to come here today. So I'm really honored to stand before you today and share just a little bit about me and my 3 cancer journeys with breast cancer. I hope that by the conclusion of my little story, I hope that at the conclusion that I will have said something that has inspired you, motivated you, and made you hopeful for a future. Now, my journey started way before I was diagnosed at the date of May of 2003. I was 35 years old. But I also had a lump that had been on my right breast for over 17 years. The lump didn't bother me, and there was a song that used to be called, they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, I didn't worry about it, even knowing that my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt had all had breast cancer and all died from it. Only my mother some years later with pancreatic cancer. So at the age of 35, I was diagnosed. A very dear friend of mine told me, she said, Vanessa, you need to go get checked. And I just kind of was in a state of denial. Any of you ever been like that? You kind of know, but you don't want to know? Well, I kind of knew. And so I went and got checked. They did a mammogram, my very first mammogram at 35. They said I was high risk because of my family history. And I did that. And I came home, the mammogram came in the mail, and I was so happy that day. Went to work, I was working at ETV, now Mississippi Public Broadcasting then with voiceovers. And I told them, we were all so happy, you even had a party for me because the mammogram came back benign. I celebrated, we had a party. I went home and I told my mom, and mother said, oh no, you're going to have a biopsy done. I didn't want it, but I'm glad I did it. I went and got my biopsy done, and a couple weeks went by, and the biopsy said that the mammogram was incorrect. I did have stage 1 invasive carcinoma, breast cancer. So then we did the treatments. I don't have to tell you how I felt because you can imagine. I was single. I had an 8-year-old son at the time, and all I thought was I'm going to die. And who's going to take care of my baby? But God made a way. My family was supportive to me. Everyone at St. Dominic's Cancer Center became my family. For those 6 months of chemo and 6 to 8 weeks of radiation, that was my new family, and St. Dominic's was my new home. So I reached out and I started joining ACS and Susan G. Coleman and Mississippi Witness Project under the health department. And I just joined as many support groups as I could find. Then I found my passion with St. Dominic's Camp Bluebird, as some of you may be familiar with. And I got that support I needed. I stopped being angry, and I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to fight. You're going to help me, and I'm going to make this journey. So I made that journey and started out with my new natural. I had a lumpectomy. I was kind of lopsided sometimes. Excuse me, man. But then my mama would always say, now, baby, you need to straighten it up, Vanessa. You're a little lopsided. So I was like, okay, mother, thank you. So then 8 years went by, and in 2011, my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 4. She died 6 days before I was having my reoccurrence with stage 4 breast cancer. Now I'm gonna step out because I like to brag on me. More than me, I like to brag on what God can do. I couldn't walk. I was crippled. My cancer spread to my skull, my liver, my spine, my chest wall, and my left hip. I was working as a membership manager with Girl Scouts. I had to quit my job because I became debilitated totally. Praise God. You know, I know we're not at church, but